This might be the best list ever made, and I'm not even trying to gloat. I'd rather promote, so don't go and come for my throat. Y'all so fessy over all the things that I wrote. Y'all so messy. I guess it's why they call me the GOAT. Yeah, baby, yeah. Messi's the GOAT. Yeah, I don't even watch fucking soccer. I just thought of that rap. All right, guys, for real, bro. We're going to get into the real UFC GOAT list top 15. I saw Bedtime's video, guys. It wasn't good, you know. It wasn't. And I feel like it's always easy to critique GOAT list, and I'm sure the comment section going to critique, but I'm telling you right now, as far as like official GOAT list, like the standard, I'm going to actually describe and explain why I'm putting some people ahead of the others, because I feel like people miss the point of GOAT list. You can't just make a GOAT list and be like, explain why you're doing it and explain the placements. That's what I do so good. So you might look at some of these placements like, I don't know, Kenny, but I'm telling you, man, these are backed up with nothing but facts. So you could argue facts whether you like or you don't like, but this is the best GOAT list in my opinion. Let's get into my criteria quickly so you understand my premise. First criteria, I put Peter Yan here because first of all, Bedtime I Peter Yan like at number 7. I don't even know what spot. Like he had him high though, goofy spot. But this is my premise. Dominance is favored. So like wins are cool, chat, but I want to see how you're winning. Are you winning in decisive fashion? Are you winning in good manner? Or are you just going in there and scraping off wins? Like, I want to know how you're winning, and I do think dominance is going to be favored. Second thing, I said name value on the resume matters. Like, I don't care if you have 1,000 win streak against nobodies. That's going to hold less weight. Listen, it's not that I don't care. I just care less. So I do favor win streaks and stuff. But I'll favor a win streak with a more notable name value than a regular win streak with nothing attached to it. That's my preference. I know some people are like, dude, but it doesn't matter. Win streak's a win streak. I'm different from you. So we're going to have a disconnect if you just care about win streaks and you don't care who you're beating. They could be beating Abe Lincoln. We're going to have a little bit different it takes, and I could accept that, and you could accept that too. Third and final, who and how are you losing? Are you losing like getting your ass beat and is it against a bum? Or are you just losing because of a fluke? Like, how are you losing and who are you losing to? I feel like those 3 things matter the most to me in my criteria. Now that that's being said, let's get into the video, guys. In my number 15 spot, it couldn't be this guy, but it could be maybe like a Jose Aldo, Max Holloway, people like that. This is who I got my number 15 spot. Francis Ngannou, man, he's forgotten, you know. He dominates every fight. You guys know I care about dominance based on my criteria. He's knocking these guys out. He's finishing these guys. He's a special kind of fighter because he's one of those fighters who beats the new gen and the old gen. Not a lot of people do that. Like, he went in there and he beat the young gen Cyril Gane. But Kenny, Cyril Gane sucks. Gane was about to beat ass, but no, you know, he was about to do it. Knocked out prime Stipe, you know, knocked out Stipe when, I know Stipe beat him, but he beat Stipe when they're both matured in their career and like at the best parts, like they were coming off good wins. Like, that was Stipe coming off of beating Daniel Cormier did, you know, so he knocked him out. Curtis Blade's a little bit more of the newer gen, still beating like the top of the competition today, still one of the top heavyweights today. You know, Ngannou knocked him out cold. He had people like Overeem, one of the legends, one of the people we're talked about as one of the best heavyweights ever, got finished by Francis Ngannou. Cain Velasquez, JDS, those are other people who are known as the GOAT list on the heavyweights, getting knocked out by Francis Ngannou in dominant fashion. Arlovsky, they're going to laugh at Arlovsky, but let's be real. His win over Arlovsky is better than Tom Aspinall's win over Arlovsky. Let's be real. Arlovsky was better positioned at that point of his career, and he lost to Stipe, and I said Lewis, LOL, because like that really wasn't a fight, but he should be in a lot more people's top 15, but people are going to forget about him, but they don't realize, like, as far as resume name value wise, this might be the best name value resume of all time, period. And it's not even a hot take to say that. As far as name value, if you just look at this from name value, you see a bunch of young gen, you see a bunch of old gen, you see like every different generation, and you see Ngannou going there every time and beating them in decisive fashion. The Cyril Gane fight was competitive, of course, because at first he was trying to strike, but he showed like multiple aspects of his game in that fight. So I feel like Ngannou in the top 15 is something people don't do, but a lot more people should be doing. That's why I have in my top 15. Moving on to the number 14 spot, though, I got Anderson Silva. Now, I know I was saying in my beginning of my criteria that I feel like I'm not going to look at like, oh, dude, win streaks over nobodies. But I will say Silva is impressive for his win streak given his era. You know, notable wins, don't worry about it. Like, Kenny, why is it got no? But thing is, people aren't gonna like. I strategically did this too because I know people in the comments are gonna be like, okay, Ngannou's resume is way better than Silva, even though that's factually true. I feel like people aren't like inclined to like defending someone like Ngannou. So even I'm kind of just appealing to the like. Honestly, if you want me to be real, I think Ngannou his resume name value wise is so much better. Yes, win streaks are good against nobodies, but I do feel like name value wise, you can't even compare Francis Ngannou to Anderson Silva because Ngannou's beating the best of the best in heavyweight, especially heavyweight division that's known for like kind of being lackluster name value wise. Like, Ngannou's beating the best in those divisions. Middleweight, he didn't really beat much people. I said the Hendo, Dan Henderson, Chael Sonnen, Stefan Bonner, lost. I said lost all his final fights. Yeah, he's like 1-8 in his last 9 fights. It is what it is. I don't care too much about losses. Like I said, in my criteria, how, like, or why are you losing? He was kind of losing because he was out of his prime. So I give him some slack. I cut him some slack there. But either or, like, why is he ahead of Ngannou? If someone's asking that question, I'm going to say old age is just the nostalgia in me. I'm not going to quite say Silva's out of the top 15. And I even put him ahead of someone like Ngannou who's seemingly a lot better than him on paper. But I do think the dominance of Anderson Silva was very peak in his career when he was in his prime. And you guys know I do favor dominance. So I do have Silva in the number 14 spot, and I do think it's justified. Going on to the number 13 spot, though, we got Henry Cejudo. Oh, here we go. We always do this. They do it once a time, but the camera just zooms in on me. Bro, stop doing that, man. Well, we got Cejudo, man. And this one actually gets me passionate because everyone thinks he sucks now. Everyone forgets about how good Cejudo is. Now, he was dominant, yes, and he was a double champ who defended both belts. That's very rare. He defended his second belt against Dominic Cruz. That's not really a bum to defend against, Beating Matty Mouse, beating Dominic Cruz, Moraes when he was in his best, TJ Dillashaw, Sergio Pettis. These are good names, man, and he lost outside of his prime. The funny thing about this is I even have him all the way at 13, and a lot of people don't even have him in the top 15. But if he retired right after leaving, or before, if he retired right after winning the second belt and defending, he would have been a lot of people's top 3, top 5. Because what can you do? But a lot of people are starting to look at him losing and they're like, oh, he lost, so he's got to be out the top 15. I don't think losses with context matter. Of course, he wasn't in his prime. He gave an Aljo a really tough fight too on his first comeback. Even Merab, he stole the first round out of him. He should have probably stopped fighting after that, and more people will understand what I'm talking about. But I do think people who say his losses ruin his legacy and that's why he's not going to be in the top 15. I disagree with you. He's the second best double champ of all time. As far as like double champ accolades are concerned, only 2 male double champs have defended both belts in 2 different weight classes, Cejudo and Daniel Cormier. And I feel like Cejudo's should be acknowledged more, but I do understand people kind of forgetting how good Cejudo is and like, yeah, but Ken, even though you're right about all this, he still lost outside of his prime. I don't care. Like, Silva lost outside of his prime and he's still in everyone's top fucking 15, but it's because like they're gonna act like, oh well, it's Silva, so we have to do it. You don't have to do anything. You just have to think with your brain. All right, Cejudo resume name value wise is already better than Silva. His win over Mighty Mouse is better than anything Silva's done from a win name value point of view, as well as Dominic Cruz as well. You can even say TJ Dillashaw, bro. I know context means stuff too, but honestly, Cejudo's name value resume is a lot better than Silva, which is why he's ahead of him, as well as the fact he's a double champ. Silva was never a double champ, and he defended both belts. So if you have any other question, you shouldn't, of why Silva is below Henry Cejudo, because like I said in this video, I'm going to explain everything really well why I placed them over them. Moving on from number 13 into the number 12 spot, Merab Dvalishvili. Now, people want to like knock him off the list and stuff. Some people even have Peter Yan ahead of him now. Like, this is funny shit. He's the bantamweight GOAT in my opinion. He has 3 title defenses at bantamweight. That's tied for the most, I believe, in bantamweight history, tied with Aljamain Sterling. So him and Aljo ended up having the same amount of title defenses. Sugar, he beat him twice. Umar Nurmagomedov, I really value this win from a skill-based point of view. Peter Yan, that win was great. Of course, he lost to Peter Yan recently, but that's still a great win. Cejudo win was pretty solid. Also, Cejudo, like, he was out of his prime, but it was still a solid win because Cejudo still knew what he was doing. Cejudo did win the first round off him there. The Jose Aldo win, pretty good. He was pretty dominant despite not finishing him or taking him down for that matter. And then Morales win was pretty good as well. He lost early in his career, but after that went on that long win streak, and he lost to Yan recently. Do think I might have something to do with overactivity, but either way, he did lose to Yan because Yan's game plan, which seemed superior to his. But that being said, I still think it should be known as a lot of people's, in a lot of people's top 15. I think number 12 is a good spot. I think he's ahead of Cejudo because, like, not only did he beat Cejudo kind of fresh off his retirement, but he also has sound tower defenses against multiple people multiple times, and he's doing well. Like, I feel like his dominance is a little bit better than Cejudo's. Like, I feel like Merab is the more inclined of going in there and like dominating people in more one-sided fashion. I will say Cejudo's resume is really good. I feel like people are starting to understand after this video how good Cejudo really is, but point being said, I do think Merab's dominance gives him a slight edge over him, as well as the fact that he was doing it consistently, man, and he defended those titles multiple times. Cejudo didn't spend a lot of times defending titles. Like, he kind of defended his title, then went up, then defended another title. Not mad title defenses. So Merab actually has more title defenses and he's more dominant, which is why I'm going to put him ahead Henry Cejudo. Boom, man. Look at these explanations. People got to stop acting like I'm not the best at explaining shit. All right, number 11. Who's ahead of Merab Dvalishvili? I have the answer to this, brother. Israel Desanya. He's not in the top 10 for me, man. He's out of the top 10, sadly. But yeah, but things happen, man. Two-time middleweight champion, 6 title defenses, superior to Merab in the title defenses, as well as the fact I feel like his win over Pereira is better than any win Merab's had. No one could argue this, but people could act like, oh, dude, Sugar might be a little bit better, Kenny. Sugar might be a little better than Alex Pereira. Sure. I even think Robert Whitaker is better than everyone that Merab has beaten. You know, maybe Jan a little bit better. You could argue this, but yeah, he beat Alex Pereira. He beat Robert Whitaker. And he beat them. He's beating these guys by knockouts, by the way. This is not just like a Merab decision. These are knockouts. He knocked out Pereira, knocked out Whitaker, knocked out Prime Costa, who was 15-0, undefeated. And Costa, he's even like, he's coming back to his form, beating people like Kobalov recently, and beat Cannonier. I know people are gonna be like, Cannonier sucks. Cannonier beat Robocop like not too long ago. Robocop's not a bad middleweight. You could try to get, oh, Robocop's not that good though. Like Izzy's wins are still aging well, which I think is pretty solid. Of course, he has multiple other wins. I'm not going to include in here like Kelvin Gastelum, Yoel Romero, because like it's the asterisks next to those, you know, they're going to be like Gastelum sucks, Romero. So I only added like the notable wins that people should. And I said he lost a solid comp. You know, Jan Blachowicz, solid comp. Sean Strickland, solid comp. Dricus Du Plessis was a reigning champ, solid comp. So it's not like he's losing the bums. So I do think he's losing to some solid comp. So that's why I'm going to put him at number 11. Really great. Very underrated because he's overhated. That's really why. Everyone else knows everything I'm saying is valid. No one in the world, after what I just explained, thinks Merab's ahead of him, I'm sure, because, you know, more title defenses and better name value on his resume, and he's knocking these guys out. I'm not saying Merab needs to be knocking out people at the caliber of Alex Pereira, of course, because that's not possible, you know, but he's still doing good. But I do think Israel Adesanya is ahead of him, and based off facts and stats, he is ahead of Merab, but it depends how you want it. If you just don't like Izzy, maybe you're going to say Merab's ahead of him. But that being said, I do think Izzy deserves a number 11 spot, and I feel like if you don't have Izzy in like around this spot, you're wrong. Like I've seen Bedtime put him number 15. I was like, dude, he's putting these randoms like ahead. He put Jan ahead of it. Like it's just rage bait, eh? Like you know, you guys know how rage bait works, but it is what it is, man. Izzy number 11 is a justified spot. Now we're in the top 10, guys. The top 10 greatest UFC fighters of all time. These are legends. Not like 11 isn't, but these are legends, guys. Number 10, I got Mighty Mouse. He's fell a little bit on my list because I did some thinking. Great fighter, by the way. 12 fight win streak, 11 defenses. You know, it might not be the craziest name value, but he does have Cejudo. Horiguchi, you know, people who know. Horiguchi, brother, this guy good. You know, just coming off of one recently. Benavidez twice, Ray Borg, John Dobson. Those are some good names, not like legendary names. Like, it's like on paper, sure, you might be like Izzy, you know, beating Pereira and Whitaker, and even, you could even argue maybe Cannonier and some of these other guys that might be better. I think Cejudo and Pereira win versus win. I think Pereira's higher than Cejudo, but it's still a really good win to compare. And then of course Whitaker's better than Horiguchi, you know. But point being said is Mighty Mouse was still dominant. I feel like he was dominating these guys. He lost early in his career. He lost like 4 times, I believe, 4 or 5 times. He lost early in his career, and he lost to a prime Cejudo towards that last UFC fight. But as far as UFC career, he's still number 10. If we're talking about just MMA, man, we could go into, you know, how good he was in one championship and all those ones there. But from a UFC GOAT list, I do think he's a top 10 fighter of all time. And he should be in your top 10. And if Mighty Mouse is outside your top 10, that's a little sus to me, at least. So he has fallen after like doing some consideration, but I still think he's a top 10 UFC fighter of all time. Maybe even interchangeable with those under him. But we're going to talk about those like who are in front of him, and I'm going to explain why they're in front of him. Starting with the number 9 spot, guys. Alex Pereira. Now, wait. People are going to be like, oh, Kenny has Pereira over Adesanya. Yes, that's true. I have Pereira over Adesanya. Mighty Mouse. I have Pereira over a lot of people, guys. He's a double champ, guys, with 3 title defenses, you know. I'll say this. The Ankalaev fight did a lot for him, for me personally. I think his win over Adesanya, great. You know, 5th round comeback after being down. Then Ankalaev, the way he disposed of Ankalaev very well. Very quickly as well. Like, come on, guys. You don't do that to Ankalaev. I know the injuries and asterisks are going to cope in the comments maybe. You know, guys, I'm Ankalaev supporter too, you know, but I have to be real. This guy, he schooled us a little bit. Then he knocked out Sean Strickland. That's a great win in itself. He beat Jan, beat Yuri. I put Hill, LOL. I don't even know why I added Hill. That's kind of stupid to even put him there. But he was a champion on paper, so you got to take things for some things, you know. Then he lost to great fighters, guys. He lost to Ankalaev. That's a really hard fighter to beat. You know, he lost to Izzy. That's it. Like, no one else can really beat this guy. No one can really solve the puzzle. And I think he beats a lot of other people at light heavyweight, you know, outside of Ankalaev, maybe in a rematch. But he could probably beat Ankalaev too in a rematch. You never know. Like, he's just really good. And I think he's better than Demetrius Johnson now. Because, like, he's a double champ, like I said. And I feel like when DJ went up to become double champ, he got bullied pretty bad, didn't he? So Pereira's special, man. I feel like he's one of those people you got to keep your eye on. And he wants to be greater because he's trying to go to heavyweight. So I do think number 9 is justified for Alex Pereira. And maybe a little bit surprised from what I say because they expect me to put Izzy. But like I said, this is a realistic list. And I think realistically right now, Pereira's ahead of him. Like I said, guys, this is going to be a really accurate list. Moving on to the number 8 spot. We got Kamaru Dean Usman. Of course, unlike Pereira, he's on a 15-fight win streak with 5 defenses. Pereira's 3 defenses were cute, but his defenses were against Jamal Hill, Yeri, and Khalil Roundtree. Like, I know people who Usman defended who are better than that. But Usman beating a prime Woodley 50-44 was very impressive. Yes, Pereira's best one is probably Adesanya, but he was down like 3-1 and then knocked him out. I feel like beating a champion, like I said, dominance is very favored. That's more impressive. 50-44ing Woodley, who was looked at as going to be one of the best, if not the best welterweight if he went on and beat Usman. Then he beat prime Colby Covington twice, which is crazy to do. Colby Covington, who's practically unbeatable at welterweight before that, went in there against Usman and lost twice. Gilbert Burns, who never lost at welterweight, lost for the first time in welterweight to Kamaru Usman. Then you have Buckley, who's riding a crazy win streak. Usman, 2-year layoff, comes back and still beats Buckley, who everyone was doubting him in that fight as well. Beat Jorge Masvidal on a 3-fight win streak. Beat RDA on the way up. Beat Sean Strickland on the way up. All those wins are aging well as well. So it's just like he's beating a lot of people. And like unlike Silva, who has a 16-fight win streak, this is a 15-fight win streak with crazy name value. Like that's the difference between Silva. Like his name value wasn't like that, but Kamaru Usman's win streak via name value is just the name value on his win streak is a lot better than 99% of UFC fighters. No one in the UFC, even Usman, even Islam, guys, we're gonna talk about that. He has a win streak of Silva. But like he doesn't have like as much diversity as I feel like Usman. Usman just has a long stretch of them because even before he's fighting for the title, he's fighting people like Strickland and RDA, excuse me, and he's doing well against them. And then his losses, he lost to Prime Edwards, which is like I said, how and why are you losing? He lost him by a fluke KO in the first fight, not a fluke, whatever, a comeback KO after being destroyed the whole fight. Then the rematch, he was a little bit stoic, scared, and it looked like a draw to me. And then he went against Hamza on 10 days notice at 185, a weight class up. And Hamza, who goes in there and usually melts people and destroys people, couldn't do that against Kamaru Usman because Kamaru's that good. So his losses aren't bad. People always look at the Edwards loss. How do you lose to Edwards, man? He lost to Edwards like one time cleanly. No, I don't even think it was clean because that fight was so close. Edwards was doing a good job cheating and getting away with stuff, but I don't really know what to say. But the Hamza loss, I feel like people take it too serious. Like, dude, it's 10 days notice, dude. He lost to Hamza, who's a great fighter as well. So, I think Kamaru Usman's special. I think you guys should keep your eye on him because he's one of the best UFC fighters of all time. And the reason he's ahead of Pereira, if you haven't noticed, is that the diversity and the levels of names. Look at the diversity in his name value-wise of Kamaru Usman compared to Alex Pereira. It's just a lot better. Like, it's obvious evident that Kamaru Usman's a lot better. That's why he's ahead of Alex Pereira. No surprise there. Moving on from number 8, we're going number 7, which is Alexander Volkanovski, brother. 2-time featherweight champion, 5 title defenses. He beat Max 3 times. Ortega, Yair, Lopez, Aldo, Mendes. I mean, Ortega, Yair, and Lopez, like, they're not like all-time great wins, but they're wins. But the Max 3 times is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Beating Aldo's pretty solid, and beating Chad Mendes is pretty solid. Lost to Sapori and Islam. Those are both nasty fighters. Lost to Islam twice. One was short notice, so like that, I guess, adds a little bit less, but it really doesn't because no one knocks out Volk short like that, at least unless you're Ilya Taporia. But, Volk's just that guy, man. He's going in there, he's beating people. Even when he like getting a little bit older in his veteran age, veteran maxing against Lopez, stick and moving. Volk's really good. So I feel like he has to be in the top 7. I do have him ahead of Kamaru because I feel like he's a 2-time featherweight champion. He lost the belt, got it back. If Kamaru loses the belt and gets it back and beats Islam, he's gonna go skyrocketing up this list. But he has not done that. I'm not saying like obviously beating Islam would be a lot more impressive than getting your belt back by beating Lopez or whatever. But point being said is Volk's really good right now, and I feel like even right now he can still beat a lot of these young guys. Him beating Lopez again does nothing for it. Like if he beats Lopez again, guys, he's not going up my list. I'm sorry. Like the UFC just needs to give him new people. Like I feel like beating mobs this is why I hate this fight for Volk. Such a lose-lose. Because if he loses to Lopez, like damn, you just lost to the guy who beat you, and it's very possible as well. Because like Lopez can land something on him. But then if he wins, it's like it doesn't really do much for his legacy, does it? But number 7 is a fitting spot for Volkanovski. Still one of the greatest of all time. Now we're going to the number 6 spot. I got Ilia Topuria. I think Ilia is greater than Volk all time. He's a double champ and he's just dominant. Like I say, I do favor dominance. Him knocking out Volk, him knocking out Max, him knocking out Charles, him beating people like Zala on the way up. I don't even have like the Josh Emmett fight in here in the fight with Bryce Mitchell because they're names, but they're not crazy names. I actually think Zala has better names than them because I feel like Zala's going to age well. But he lost to nobody as well. I just think he's better than Volk, objectively speaking. He's greater than Volk, and he's already a double champ. That's something Volk has tried twice and failed twice against Islam, unfortunately. Ilia hasn't got Ilia got the chance, not against Islam, but against Charles, and he passed that test with flying colors. So he's just seemingly better than Volk because he did things Volk tried to do, and he did it in very impressive fashion. And I just feel like he's dominant, man. So I do have him ahead of someone like Volkanovski, who's definitely a dog. It's just that Ilia Topuria a little bit more special, maybe handsome, maybe look good. I don't know, brother. I don't know. I don't fully understand. I say what I believe, and I do think Ilia Topuria is ahead of Volkanovski all time. Now we're going into the top 5 UFC fighters of all time. In the number 5 spot, GSP, double champ, 10 title defenses. His most notable wins, I'm just gonna say Hughes, Condit, and BJ Penn. Even though BJ Penn was like fought at lightweight, sometimes he would go around. Still gonna say BJ Penn. He just loses to dude's named Matt. Like, one thing about him, he reminds me of Anderson Silva, like long win streaks, but like who you beating. But I will say Hughes is like at least like a solid all-time name. I'd even put Serra as a notable win. Matt Serra is like, if you actually look at Matt Serra, he loses to a bunch of people. But that fight against GSP was kind of fluky. So I'll say the way you lost to Serra, not fluky, but you got caught with something, got finished. Like, GSP's a GOAT, bro. He's going to be in my top 5. I do think he's very overrated because this is where people are probably like, the GOAT list looks great, but this is where the big disagreements are going to be. It's the next person I'm about to talk about. And I'm going to explain to you guys why I do believe this guy's better than him, and it's Daniel Cormier. Now, you're probably like, why is Daniel Cormier ahead of him? Because they're both double champ, but GSP has more title defenses. Guys, he's the better double champ. Like, I understand going up and beating Michael Bisping. No one beats Michael Bisping. In my opinion, and this is where there's going to be a lot of disconnect in the chat, and this is where like the hot take is going to come in. I think beating the greatest heavyweight of all time in their prime by knockout is better than going up and beating Michael Bisping, a middleweight champion. So I think going up and beating the GOAT in your division is a little bit better. I'm being sarcastic, of course. It's a lot better than beating Michael Bisping. But for some reason, people don't understand that. Then people are going to be like, okay, but GSP had a longer win streak. GSP did not have the greatest of all time in his weight class. GSP did not have John Jones in his weight class. Let's be real. Who do you have? Again, he had fucking Nick Diaz. Like, I don't know. I think it's funny when people think GSP is better than Daniel Cormier because they're going to go off longevity and win streak, but it's not his fault. Like, DC beat Stipe, beat Alexander Gustafsson, beat Rumble Johnson, beat Anderson Silva, beat Uzdemir, who's still winning fights today. Like, I could even get into these people who are still winning fights that DC has beaten. Let's even compare. His best win being Hughes. Who's a better win, Hughes or Stipe? Stipe Miocic. Who's a better win, Carlos Condit or Alexander Gustafsson? Who's a better win, BJ Penn, or we could compare him to Anderson Silva, I guess, or Rumble Johnson. But either one, like, the latter wins. Like, Daniel Cormier wins, and then, like, I don't know, like, anyone else, like, I can't name someone GSP's beaten who's like still doing all right or did really well after or something. Uzdemir is like still getting off wins. Uzdemir lost a very close fight to Carlos Ulberg recently, and then just came off a knockout victory, I believe. Like he's beating people who are still shining in the UFC today. It just shows you how good Daniel Cormier really is. When you actually look at Daniel Cormier and GSP, you start to realize like they're not that, I don't want to say they're not that close, but like name value wise, dominance wise, they're not that close. And once you realize, yes, they both lost to two human beings. He lost to Matt Hughes and Matt Serra. Those are two human beings he lost to. He lost to John Jones and Stipe Miocic. Those are two human beings he lost to. But if you look at Matt Hughes and Matt Serra, they're not the GOATs in the division. If we look at John Jones, he's literally the greatest of all time, arguably, and the greatest light heavyweight of all time. Look at Stipe Miocic. He lost to Stipe when he was 40 years old, 42 years old. Think about that. So he was out of his prime when he lost to him, and that was also the heavyweight GOAT on paper to a lot of people. So you're losing to people who aren't the GOATs in their division. He's losing the greatest of all times. It's a hot take to you guys, but to me, I don't think it's a hot take to say. And most people who like are thinking like objectively and like came in with the open mind probably start to agree with me now. But of course, like I said, GSP hardcores, they're going to be like, doesn't matter, bro. It still had 10 title defenses, bro. It doesn't matter if it wasn't against people that crazy. It was against good people for their generation. Daniel Cormier beat better people in his generation, and he only lost to the greatest of all times. I think Daniel Cormier is the most underrated fighter of all time, and I think Everyone's gonna keep underrating him, and whatever I say here is probably not gonna convince people that he's underrated, but it is what it is. Like I see people having him on like number 15 spot, number 8, number 9, number 20. I'm like, dude, you guys just don't know anything. Like double champ and defended both belts as well. Him and Henry Cejudo are the only ones to do that. Think about that. It's not like It's not like he beat Bisping in the defending against Whitaker. He didn't want to fight Whitaker, so just let all this be known. Daniel Cormier is the better double champ and just has a better resume, name value wise, and he only lost the GOATs. Daniel Cormier is greater than GSP all time. Trust me. Now in the top 3, had to do it. Number 3 spot is double champ John Jones. I did put in parentheses in the bottom right if you can see, guys. The GOAT if he's clean. I'll be real. John Jones, if he never took steroids, he should be everyone's GOAT. Even today, with what Islam did, yes, even today. I still think he's a GOAT. The only reason he's not and he's in the number 3 spot is because he's on steroids. He did steroids. Like I feel like enhancing your body is a negative, So he beat DC twice though, beat Cyril Gahn, beat Gustin twice, beat Machida, beat Rampage, beat Rashad Evans. He lost to 12-6 via 12-6 elbows and steroids. He's the GOAT outside of this, guys. I'll say he's the GOAT outside of this, and I value dominance really high. He was so dominant every fucking fight, man. Just versatile, dominant, he has great name value. He's just so fitting for the GOAT title. And I'm not fond of Jones, but I gotta be honest, like when it comes to fighting, this guy was special in his prime. And him ducking Tom Aspinall kind of like makes him look goofy, but it is what it is. But he's so good, dude. He's so good. Like honestly, guys, I like transparency, like full transparency, he's the GOAT. If without the cheating and steroids and all that stuff, I gotta be real. But since he's not the GOAT, there's got to be 2 people ahead of him. Number 2, Khabib Nurmagomedov. This is also a big pivotal point where a lot of people are going to disagree because they're like, dude, he had 3 title defenses. Even though Ilya has fucking 0 title defense, or Ilya has 1 title defense, but he should get favored. Or they're going to look at other people with like people like Peter Yan had like 0 title defenses, but I saw Bedtime put him like number in the top 10 or something. Like people are so delusional. They're going to make fun of people for like having those. Only if it's Khabib if he has 3 title defenses. Anyone else with 3 title defenses, Merab's in a lot of people's top 10. He has 3 title defenses. It's funny because Khabib had better defenses. Like, I just don't understand why people like only hate on title defenses when it's Khabib. They're gonna praise Volkanovski because he has 5. That's 2 more. Like, come on, man. Stop being weird. He's 3 title defenses, and I favor dominance very highly, and he happens to be the most dominant fighter in UFC history. Beat Prime RDA, probably the best win on his resume. Beat Prime Dustin, beat a better version of Dustin Poirier than Islam Makhachev did, and he did it, and he made it look easier. He beat Prime Justin Gaethje, beat Conor McGregor, beat Edson Barboza in his prime. He beat even Michael Johnson, not even on this list. He beat a lot of people, guys, and he does it dominantly, and he lost to nobody. Not only lost to nobody, but he lost rounds to nobody. People like to say the Justin Gaethje fight. Watch that fight back. Khabib did not lose that round. Khabib was walking that boy down, taking him down. Khabib, like, someone's good when they don't talk about losing fights, but rather how much rounds have you lost. You can't do that with Jones because there's fights Jones arguably lost, like Reyes, like Gustafsson. Like, we can't talk about rounds lost with Jones. Khabib was so good that we talk about rounds and minutes lost. I think he's like more unicorn based because I don't think there's ever going to be someone who arguably doesn't lose rounds. Like Hamza already has those fights with Gilbert Burns and Kamaru, so that like whole lost round argument is not going to be a thing. Khabib has arguments about whether he lost rounds because he never decisively lost a round in his life. Ever. They're gonna say the Conor McGregor. He outstruck Conor in a round where he shot 0 takedowns or like 1 takedown. He outperformed Justin Gaethje in that first round. People think he lost that round. I'm just saying right now, in my opinion, he never lost a round, and you can't have that argument with any other fighter. It just shows how great Khabib is, and a lot of people aren't gonna accept how impressive that is because they just don't like Dagestanis. But brother, you like or you don't like, he's one of the best fighters in the world right now. Thank you. But if we're talking about number 1, only one word. The best fighter in the world, guys. Islam Makhachev, yeah, baby, yeah. Islam Makhachev is the greatest of all time, guys. 16-fight win streak, tied Anderson Silva with the longest win streak in UFC history. Double champ as well as 4 title defenses. That's 1 more than Khabib. 4 title defenses, and he's a double champ, guys. And he's a double champ. Same win streak as Silva, but these not like all nobodies like Silva. These ain't nobodies. This is Volk twice. 4-1 rounds to 1. The second one, knockout. Charles Oliveira, submission. That's the best submission specialist in UFC history getting submitted. JDM gets folded 50-44. 5 rounds straight. Dustin Poirier gets folded 4 rounds to 0 and then submits him in the 5th round. I forgot he finished. Yeah, he finished that fight. Arman Sarukian, when they were both young, he gets that win over a young Arman. That one ends up aging well. Destroyed Hooker in 1 round very easy when Hooker was looking like he was at his pinnacle. That was the same Hooker having competitive fights with Dustin, by the way. just getting mollywopped in one round. And he lost to a fluke. Like, roided Pantoja went in there, fucking hit him. Fuck Pantoja, why'd you do it? But, it's just, he's the greatest of all time to me, man. I'm pushing the propaganda. I'm pushing the narrative. I think Islam's the number one UFC fighter of all time. And I think you should agree with me. I believe you should agree with, maybe this situation of what I say. I just think I'm comfortable pushing the narrative. I think it's still arguable. I think you could say arguably he's the GOAT. I think arguably he's the GOAT. The second he defends his belt once, doesn't matter who it's against. If it's against Usman, even better. If it's against Morales or Prates, there might be question marks. Oh, they're young guys. They're not that good. If it's against Usman, who practically beat Hamzat or drew with Hamzat, beat Hamzat 2 rounds out of 1, just got dominated by Buckley, who everyone's saying Buckley could knock out Islam. If he beats that guy Usman, then I think solidified GOAT. That's my take on it. But let me know what you guys think about this GOAT list. I think this GOAT list was very honest, and I know some people don't like truth, brother, but you like or you don't like. This is number one GOAT list in the world right now. Thank you. But this is my list, guys. Let me know what you think down below. That's it for me. God bless. 2, 3, 4.